The sound of my 23-year-old son Tyler screaming my name across the front yard at 7 Saturday morning shattered my quiet routine instantly. The coffee slipped from my hand, smashing loudly on kitchen tile as pure parental terror flooded my chest and legs, carried me running outside. I burst through the front door, expecting an accident, maybe a fight, maybe something broken, but nothing could prepare me for what waited. For men wearing black tactical vests pinned Tyler against his truck, zip ties cutting into wrists while another man calmly filmed everything. White letters on their vests read Pinewood Crossing HOA Enforcement Division, like they believed they were some official authority. Each one carried a holstered sidearm and stun gun, standing confidently like they owned the entire neighborhood and everyone living inside. Tyler's 10-year-old Ford F-150 sat in our driveway, untouched, ordinary, and definitely not violating any ridiculous neighborhood rule. Yet these strangers treated my son like a criminal suspect during a higher-risk arrest operation in broad daylight. My heart hammered violently while every protective instinct inside me screamed to act immediately before something terrible happened. I stepped forward slowly, fists clenched, rage crawling up my spine while Tyler struggled against the plastic restraints. "Get your hands off my son right now," I shouted, my voice shaking with fury and disbelief. The man filming turned calmly, smiling slightly like this confrontation was routine and completely under his control. He claimed Tyler violated HOA regulations involving vehicle modifications and parking limits exceeding 72 consecutive hours. According to him, they had authority to detain violators until citations were issued and vehicles impounded. I stared at Tyler's truck again, noticing absolutely nothing resembling aftermarket wheels or illegal modifications anywhere. "That truck is stock," I snapped angrily. "You're making violations up completely." The leader insisted they possessed photographs and measurement documentation proving Tyler ignored previous warnings. Another man raised a taser toward my chest, issuing a final warning for me to step back immediately. That moment felt unreal. Strangers threatening me with weapons in my own yard over imaginary parking rules. Then a loud engine roared down our quiet street, tires screeching sharply as a lifted Jeep slammed against the curb nearby. The driver door exploded open and my younger brother Jason stepped out quickly, scanning the entire scene instantly. Jason Mitchell stood 6'2", muscular and calm, wearing cargo pants and a fitted black shirt revealing old combat scars. He had just returned from deployment weeks earlier after 20 brutal years serving as a Navy SEAL. I had texted him seconds earlier explaining armed men restrained Tyler claiming HOA authority. His response arrived instantly. 2 minutes. Don't engage. I'm coming. Now, he walked forward slowly, eyes cold and calculating, reading every movement like a battlefield assessment. "Gentlemen," Jason said quietly, his voice carrying dangerous calm that immediately froze the 5 men. "That young man is my nephew," he continued. "You have exactly 5 seconds to release him." The man filming laughed nervously, insisting the situation involved legitimate HOA enforcement business. Jason began counting slowly, each number landing heavier than the last inside the silent neighborhood street. 2, he said while adjusting his stance slightly. Eyes locked onto the men gripping Tyler. The group suddenly noticed the concealed pistol resting holstered against Jason's hip beneath his shirt. Confidence drained from their faces as reality replaced the performance they had staged minutes earlier. 3, Jason continued calmly, not raising his voice, not blinking once. The man holding the taser lowered it slightly, uncertainty spreading through the group rapidly. 4, Jason said softly, shifting weight forward like a predator closing distance carefully. The cameraman raised both hands quickly, trying desperately to calm the escalating confrontation. 5, Jason finished, voice steady while his hand hovered near his holstered weapon deliberately. "Cut him loose right now," he warned, "or I'll treat this as armed kidnapping." A knife flashed quickly as one man rushed to slice through Tyler's plastic restraints immediately. Tyler stumbled forward, rubbing his wrists, while I pulled him behind me protectively. Jason remained perfectly still, eyes locked onto the 5 men who suddenly looked far less powerful.
"Ow."
"Put your hands where I can see them," Jason ordered quietly without raising his voice. The leader stammered explanations about authorization from Pinewood Crossing Board President Kenneth Marsh. Jason listened silently, expression turning colder with every word leaving the man's mouth. "Gary," Jason said calmly, "call Virginia Beach Police immediately." I dialed emergency services while Jason kept the group frozen, with nothing except presence and confidence. None of them moved. None dared reach for weapons while Jason watched them like targets. Minutes later, police cruisers flooded the street, lights flashing while officers jumped out with weapons drawn. Jason calmly identified himself, presenting military identification and concealed carry permit without hesitation. He explained the situation clearly: 5 armed individuals falsely detaining his nephew for fabricated violations. Sergeant Williams surveyed the scene, clearly stunned by tactical gear, zip ties, and weapons. HOA enforcement, he muttered incredulously. You people are insane. Officers quickly disarmed the group while placing them face down on the pavement. Within minutes, every fake enforcer wore handcuffs instead of tactical authority patches. Charges stacked quickly: assault, battery, false imprisonment, and impersonating law enforcement officers. Tyler described being grabbed unexpectedly, restrained, and threatened with weapons minutes earlier. I explained how they pointed a taser directly at my chest when I questioned them. Detective Lisa Chen soon arrived, reviewing statements carefully while examining the suspicious tactical equipment. Her investigation revealed several previous complaints about men claiming HOA authority detaining residents recently.
How most victims never reported it formally because armed strangers frightened them into silence.
Now, police finally had suspects in custody connected to multiple disturbing incidents across Pinewood Crossing. The alleged mastermind was HOA board president Kenneth Marsh, living only 3 streets away. Detective Chen decided immediately to question him regarding these aggressive enforcement operations. Jason asked calmly if he could accompany officers to observe the conversation personally. Chen smiled slightly, saying she couldn't stop a concerned uncle attending neighborhood HOA matters. We drove together toward Marsh's enormous house sitting proudly at the end of a quiet cul-de-sac. The mansion dwarfed neighboring homes, complete with fountains and landscaping costing more than my salary. Marsh answered wearing golf clothes, clearly annoyed about police interrupting his comfortable afternoon. Detective Chen introduced herself and mentioned the 5 armed men currently sitting inside patrol cars. Marsh's confident smile disappeared instantly as he realized the situation had spiraled beyond control. He admitted hiring the group to enforce HOA standards against residents ignoring community rules. Jason stepped forward slowly, towering over him while explaining exactly what those enforcers had done. Marsh insisted he never authorized violence, claiming they were only supposed to issue citations. Detective Chen reminded him that sending armed criminals into neighborhoods rarely produces peaceful results. Investigators soon discovered Marsh created fake violations targeting residents with valuable vehicles or property. Armed enforcers intimidated victims into paying massive fines or surrendering property for impoundment. Marsh secretly sold confiscated vehicles and equipment through his own surplus business operation. In 3 months alone, he collected over $90,000 from frightened neighbors. Additional stolen property pushed illegal profits beyond $200,000 quickly. Detectives connected 17 separate victims to Marsh's organized HOA extortion scheme. Many victims testified they feared retaliation after armed men threatened them inside their own yards. Jason helped investigators track additional witnesses using contacts and careful coordination. Court proceedings exposed recordings where Marsh encouraged aggressive intimidation against residents refusing payment. Tyler testified about being zip-tied, while strangers filmed his humiliation like entertainment. Elderly neighbors described living in fear of tactical teams enforcing imaginary rules nightly. A military veteran testified Marsh's enforcers mocked his service while stealing his truck. Jason testified last, explaining how trained threat assessment revealed the group's criminal intentions immediately. The jury deliberated briefly before delivering guilty verdicts against Marsh and all 5 accomplices. Kenneth Marsh received 32 years in Virginia prison for racketeering, extortion, and organized crime. The 5 fake enforcers received sentences ranging between 15 and 22 years each. Courts dissolved Pinewood Crossing HOA and ordered full refunds for every illegal fine collected. Tyler kept his truck exactly where it always belonged, our driveway, no permission required anymore. Jason eventually bought a house 2 streets away, choosing family over moving across the country. Some criminals wear tactical gear pretending authority, but real warriors protect families without terrorizing communities. And every time Jason visits dinner, Tyler remembers the calm voice counting slowly toward 5.